Hello everyone. This is a simple month and page layout for your Faux Hobonichi. I'm using a Michael Ruiz journal for mine, and first of all I'm going to do a month layout, and my basic layout is 4 grids from the top, 2 grids for the name of the day, and then 5 rows of 9 for the actual calendar days. And then from the left to right, I go over 11 squares and then 3 rows of 9. And then the next page is actually I go 10, 9, 9, 9, 1, but you can do 9, 9, 9, 9, 1. I do the extra square in the valley of the book just to give myself a little bit more room. And usually I don't lay it all out with pencil first. I just do tick marks and then go back with pen. And the pen I use is a Uniball Vision Fine, and it's waterproof and fade proof. And what I'll tell you about the pen is it's wonderful, except you're going to have to wait about 5 minutes before you do any watercolor over the top of it. It needs that 5 minutes to dry to the page, I guess. I'm starting with this small ruler because it fits inside the notebook well, but I realize that it only will let me do 4 grids at a time and I want to do the whole grid. So I'm using a longer ruler for this part to lay out the lines of this part of the calendar. And then I'll switch back to the smaller ruler. Now I use different pens. This Uniball is one that I found recently, and I like it, and they're cheap, and you can find them anywhere. You can find them at Walmart if you want to. I also use a very varied brushes that are like the Japanese brush tip pens. I do those. I use those when I do a lot of the swirl designs and just to put some bold lines in. Right now I'm just handwriting in the days because I don't care if they look kind of fun and funky, because even though it's my handwriting and it's probably not the best, it's my journal. I mean, if I can read it, that's all that matters, I think. So now I'm going to date the pages. So I'm finishing up dating, and I'm going to show you the supplies I use. I use the Uniball Vision, which I talked about already. I erase the calendar. Those are watercolor pencils, and those are Neocolor 2 watercolor crayons. And then that little set is a travel set I use. I use that, or actually I have a bunch of sets of watercolors. It's kind of a bad fascination, a collection, hoarder, hoarder of watercolors. Anyway, that it's actually kind of cool. That little watercolor set is made with an antique cigarette case, a silver antique cigarette case, and it's really slim to fit in your pocket if you need to. Anyway, so I'm using the Neocolors to color quickly in the different squares and along the outside, and I'm doing it really messily, which to me it'll work out fine because they blend really well. I'm also trying to keep the theme of greens and blues, and I'm going to add a little purple too for the theme of March since it's St. Patrick's Day and spring. So now I'm using watercolor pencil there. And those are Faber-Castell pencils. Faber-Castell. I probably am saying that wrong because I say everything wrong. So I'll continue coloring in squares using different variations of blues and greens. Sorry about that weird angle there. Now that the calendar has all the coloring on it, I'm adding a water to the page. And I'm using just a regular um, watercolor brush. I didn't show you which brush, but I don't think the brush really matters that much. It has a nice sharp tip to the top. And I am just running the colors together to kind of create a. I'm picking up green from that box there to finish off the top March banner. And you'll notice the Neo colors really blend well. So you don't have to do a huge amount of blending. That's what I love about them. And that's watercolor pencil there. It also blends very well. The paper in this notebook is really nice. It's not as good as the Hobonichi, I am told, so but it's good. I can't complain. So here's the finished product, and I wanted to show you that there was a little bit of color bleed through, but not a lot. I used a lot of water on that calendar, and there's just a tiny bit of bleed through. I just wanted you to see that for yourself so you don't get disappointed if it happens to you. And the colors, for the most part, they're bright, and they covered well for as messy as I created that page. And this is where I'll show you that where it came through a little bit on the other side. I haven't finished these pages, so I was just going to show you how that looked. And I put the wrong date up here. So I have a little pocket I created in back of my Hobonichi with a clear pocket, and I just duct taped the edges. And I'm going to find a label. It holds quite a bit. And I'm going to find a label to cover up the date because I messed up. I'm just trying to figure out what color I want to use. I really don't want to use pink, so I think I go with that purple there. Anyway, it's nice to have that back there in case you want to tuck things in there. And now I'm going to cover up the date, but I'm going to start from the calendar side because I don't care how much of the label is on the front, but I don't want the label covering up the calendar. There you go, quick fix. So now I'm going to add a little panda sticker to the front. And I really like stickers, playing with stickers over the top, because most stickers have transparent backgrounds, and so you can kind of see where you're going to place them before you place them. I was having a hard time placing that silly panda. Anyway, and I ripped the page, so now I'm going to have to come up with a fix for that. And I'm going to use this green, like it's like a washi tape, but it's made out of paper. I don't even know where I got it. So there's a fairly large rip in that paper up there, so I'm peeling off the sticker now to cover that rip up. Of course, sorry, out of the frame here, I have to be more aware of where my camera is. And then I flip it over, and because the rip is on that side too, I'm going to put a little piece on that side. Now that that's all fixed, I'm going to draw a swirl on the page. Lately I've been into swirls, so I just kind of hand draw a swoop swirl. Now you could use a template. They have templates for shapes, circle shapes at the office supply store if you wish. I'm adding the day to it, March, and then I'll put the 3-1 instead of 3-2. I don't know why I jumped to the second day of the month. And then then I outlined it. Sorry, I forgot to turn on the camera when I did. I used a brush pen for the black outline, and I'm using Jelly Roll fluorescent pens. And basically what I've chosen is I've chosen purple, pink, and blue for this first page. And sometimes I like to keep to, just a 3 to 4 colors for a page. And these jelly pens are acrylic, and they usually repel watercolor really well. But you'll see here that this light pink one didn't that well. So I'm going to have to run over it one more time after I watercolor it. But usually once I write it, I only have to write it once, and then I just watercolor over the top. You know, it depends on what you want to do. You don't always have to watercolor over the tops. Those are the four colors I've chosen for the page, just to give you an idea. And so I'm going to start painting. Oops, I just messed up my watercolor palette. I'm going to start painting to the left. Boy, I just messed it up bad. Sorry. Rearranging the watercolor palette. Anyway, I'm going to start in the lower left-hand side, and you won't be able to see it. After all that, I changed my watercolor palette. Boy, I'm pretty flaky when it comes to painting. And here I'm going to start with the green, and I'm going to add a little bit darker. I like to vary the background colors just slightly, even if it's just a little bit of blue with green, just to give it some interest. I do that with a lot of my watercolor. I'm finishing up that edge, and sorry the camera angle's bad. I wanted you to be able to see the palette too. And now I'm erasing the quote, and then I'll watercolor like a purple and blue over the quote. So I want this to be purple, and I noticed that the watercolors are more opaque than normal, so the pink pen is not coming through like it usually would. It's not repelling the paint, and I believe it's because these are opaque watercolors, and so I will have to go over that with the pink pen. And now I'm going to be choosing blue for the top. You don't have to stick with a color theme. I find it easier sometimes to have a color theme. Sometimes I just go with all out bright colors. Actually, most of the time I do that, but when you first start out, sticking to one color or four colors is a good thing. I'm adding the green and the swirls, and then I will go back and add the pink to the quote. After I add the pink to the quote, after the page is dry, you have to wait till the page is dry to go over watercolors, just so you know. See how the paint got a little bit lighter? I'll add more details after the pen, and then I'll be finished. Come back soon and see what else I've created. Thanks.